Hi and welcome back to another card making video. Today I'm joining Waffle Flower for their latest release and I will be creating a couple of cards using some of my favorite products from this release. I have a white panel here which is 3 3/4 by 5 and then I'm going to use this set of stencils that when you place one on top of the other you get a really fun look, and you will see what I mean in a bit. So I'm going to place it on top of my panel. I'm going to start by blending in blues. I'm going with two shades of blue. The first one is Cerulean blue from my dye ink collection, and then for the second one I'm going with navy blue. For both my cards today I'm going to use the same products and you will see different ways on how to use the dyes. The design is going to be the same, the main idea is going to be the same, but you will see that I'm going to get two different cards, two different looks by following the same design that I have in my mind. So here I'm switching to the second stencil and you see how I blend the darker shade of blue. And the dimensional look and feel that you get when you layer those two stencils one on top of the other is just amazing. And of course think of all the different color combinations that you can do with those adorable paws. Now I don't like how striking white the background is, so with my blending brush I'm going very lightly over the center mainly of the panel and I'm just toning it down just a little bit. Of course I don't want to lose all the design that I have already, so you see how lightly I applied. And now let's bring in the dyes from the new collection. This is the Paw Print Die and I absolutely love it because it is so unique. I never had anything like it in my stash. You get a tiny one as well as a bigger one, and you can see that you get both the outline as well as the intricate design. There are so many different ways to use that. For my first card I'm going to use the outline and cut out a window so that I can turn this panel into a shaker card. Now I know that below I want to use the new Oversized Friend die, and you see this is again one of the new release. You see how big it is, really makes a statement. So I'm trying to place them and decide where everything is going to go before I run it through my die cutting machine to cut out the window. So here is how it looks at the moment, and let's turn this panel into a shaker panel. At the back I'm going to add some double-sided tape and then stick on top my acetate. And for the acetate I usually recycle acetate from packaging, so just make sure that it is nice and clean. I'm going to stick it down and then I need to create the area where I will add my shaker mix. For that I'm using foam strips. These are by Waffle Flower and I absolutely love them. This is the 1/8 of an inch thickness, which makes it quite thick, and it is going to take lots of shaker elements, even the bulkiest ones. So I'm just going to go all around my window, peel them off, and then I'm going to add my shaker mix. For that I decided to go with a silver mix that I had, but you can definitely use any color that you like. I just feel like since my card is mainly monochromatic with shades of blue, the silver is really complementing that design. So I have an extra white panel which I'm going to place at the back, make sure that it has a good contact with my foam tape, and then of course I'm going to use my scissors and cut off the excess. Now my second panel is ready and I'm going to decorate the front again by using the same big paw dies, one inside the other. I did use navy cardstock and I cut out this design which I'm going to stick on top of my acetate. For that I'm going to use liquid glue, but you can definitely use any type of other glue that you like. You can definitely turn it into a sticker, so use double-sided tape before you run it through your die cutting machine to make your life easier and less messy, because in my case I have to be very careful not to mess up the acetate. I am going to place a stamping block on top to keep it in place until it is nicely stuck, and in the meantime let's prepare the sentiment. For that I went with friend. I cut out the word friend with white cardstock and the outline from the same navy blue cardstock that I cut out the beautiful paw there. So I'm going to stick one on top of the other, and you can definitely stack up even more cardstock if you like to make it more dimensional. I'm going to use foam tape at the back of this one and stick it in place. And then I'm going to stick the whole thing on top of my card base that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and you can see that I have a lovely border all around. It's a fun and playful card, perfect to send out to your friends who just got a new pet in their family. So here are some close-up photos on this card, and I'm going to share another card using pretty much the same design and the same products. So you see here I have cut out the outline of the paw using the same paw dies, and just to add a very light color I went with my dye ink pad, which is cream. This is going to get rid of that striking white background, but at the same time it keeps it very subtle, as you can see. And then I did use this dye and I cut out all these little pieces out of pink cardstock. I'm also inking up one side of those pieces just to make it look more dimensional. The color I'm using is pink, and you can see it is slightly darker than my cardstock, so it really makes a difference if you add just a tiny little bit on one side. And then I'm going to stick all those pieces on top of my outline paw, and for that I'm using foam tape at the back to make it look dimensional. It's a big focal point, which is something that I absolutely love for the top of my cards, as it really makes a statement. And in my card design I'm going to use just one, but you can definitely use more than one, or even recreate the same idea but using the tiny paws from the same die set, which is going to make it look super cute. Now when I want to keep my card clean and simple, but at the same time I want to add something extra on the background, I like to add splatters. So here just swiped on my glass mat my black dye ink, I diluted it with water. You see I have added some very thin splatters, and you can control that if you use a very thin brush. And then on top I'm going to stick my cutouts. You see that I did cut out again the word friend. This time I used black for the outline, and then on top I'm just going to nest the paw. Waffle Flower always provides ready-made sentiments for you, so all you have to do is just pick the one that matches with your design and just stick it down. And you can probably read all those sentiments that match perfectly with the big die friend. I decided to go with Man's Best, which I'm going to stick it on top of my card to complete my sentiment. And again, this is a great card to send to someone who just got a new dog in their family. Since I want to keep things clean and simple for this card design, I decided to stick that on top of a white card base that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And here are both the cards that I made for today using the same products from the new release. So this video is part of a blog hop. If you want to see these products in action and get even more inspired, and if you want a chance to win prizes, make sure to visit my blog. If you are watching on YouTube, you will find the link down below in the description, along with a list of the supplies. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all next time.